there, buddy. This is your dad. You remember my voice? I think talking to you.
People are made up of many parts. Physically, we have organs and bones that keep us moving and breathing. Spiritually, we have the feelings of our brain and heart working together to keep us emotionally upright. But when we define each other, we don't really use any of these parts. Instead, we define each other through proximity. When I'm talking about someone, the first thing I mention is rarely anything to do with their thoughts because thoughts are primarily a personal experience. Instead, I'll mention the people they're close to or the places they've lived or the things that they surround themselves with. So it's in this way that I'm going to tell you about my dad, Bud George. If you look back 100 years, there's a lot about America that you wouldn't recognize. This was an America that had only seen one world war, it had no televisions or penicillin, and this was the world that Asa McCool was born into. He would go on to fight in World War II, and coming home from the war, he bought a house with his wife at 4411 Utah Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. He raised a family here, most of who went on to have children of their own, and one of these child's children was Bud George.
So for the first 47 Christmases of my life, I would be at this house, and many Sundays after church. This is the house that my grandparents bought in 1945. So by the time I came along in 1960.
To him, Asa McCool and his house offered stability because every year on December 25th, for the first 47 years of his life, Bud George would find himself here, celebrating Christmas with dozens of other family members. He celebrated his very first Christmas here, and by the time he was 46, he was here with 3 children of his own. And it's from this stability that Bud derives his optimism, which, if you know him, you know that makes up a major part of his personality. Whether it's determining the price of a house or helping you make life-changing decisions, he's coming at it from the perspective that you're going to be okay. And if Bud's in your life, at least in my experience, you probably will be. But eventually that house went away. Asa McCool got older and weaker. He moved into a nursing home and then passed away in the summer of 2016. The house at 4411 Utah Avenue was sold and eventually demolished. So what happened to that stability? I think very naturally it turned towards family because the house was only ever a physical representation of family. When you know you have something to fall back on, it makes pursuing your dreams much easier, and this family is where Bud could always turn.
If you heard me teach ever before, you probably heard me talk about my grandpa McCool. He was a World War II veteran. We said goodbye to him this past Wednesday. That's why I wasn't here last week and we postponed this thing. And my uncle got up and he talked about him, eulogized him for about 15 minutes, and he talked about legacy. A grandson will think about legacy after he's buried his grandfather who left a legacy. They're not going to put on the rock in the cemetery that he was a damn good realtor. I hope not. I hope when people think of me, they may say, well, man, he was a good businessman. He was smart, and he was caring, and he was honest, and all that stuff. But child of God, husband, father, contributor to the world are much more important things. Right? So
Bud George comes in many parts. He's a husband, a dad, a mentor, and a real estate agent. He comes from a family built on strong relationships, and so every chance he gets, he forms new, meaningful relationships. Whether you're meeting with him to sell a house or because you need someone to talk to, every relationship to him is worth caring about. No matter how small your interaction, he's going to do everything he can to make sure he has a positive impact on your life. This is what makes him a good businessman, but also what makes him a really great dad. He talks a lot about the process when it comes to his business, but when it gets down to it, his actions show that he's all about the relationship. I love my dad very much, and whether you've known my dad for decades or you've yet to meet him, I hope that these stories diversified your perspective and let you see the Bud that I've gotten to know over the course of my life. Thank you very much for watching, and Dad, happy birthday.
That's enough. That's enough. Bye.